Hiya, it's Count here. Welcome to the another episode of All the Syllabus Podcast. Today we're not inviting any other guests. Just me and Mashun are going to host this sessions together.
Okay, so let's think about that exact moment. Okay, so what was your immediate or maybe like gut reaction to to the person that you were meeting for the first time ever? So did you form an opinion of them like within the first 30 seconds or a minute? I mean, like, did you notice like how they were dressed or like the handshake or the way they speak or just their energy? What was your thought? So, the questions that we are going to dive deeper into today is, does the first impression really matters? And I think that many people would say, yes, it is. So, let's say in a work setting, like this is a dream job that you have been dream about. Or maybe the client meeting, which could secure like a major contract for your company. Or maybe like your first day with a team, like your professional journey start here, right? So like the things about like initiating a handshake, or maybe your confident introductions, or maybe like your open statements about who you are, those are really important. And also maybe let's think about in the academic setting. So let's maybe it's about the scholarship interview. Imagine like you have worked tirelessly about these applications and you have achieved like excellent grades and you have like poured your heart into getting this. But in that video interview, you only get like 15 to 20 minutes, and that's it. That is your chance. So at the time, if you don't make a good first impressions, where you pass the interview or where you get the scholarships? That's the question.
I think Mashun makes a really good point here. Uh, people always say it's like first impressions actually matter. And like interviews or job setting, I'm sure they do. But in a different setting, I think we're very quick to judge a person with the first impressions. The thing is that sometimes in trying to make a good first impressions, we end up putting on armors, projecting a version of ourselves that we think others want to see, instead of showing others who we are. I think I've done it before. I'll try to wear the right smile, say the right things, or even shake myself like to fit in with. Yeah, it does get like some of the time it does get with good impressions, but sometimes I wonder, does it actually build a real connections? Because I think connections last longer than impressions, and it also take time to form connections. And I think people can sense the authenticity. They remember how like we make them feel, not just what we say or what we have were on that day. I think so. Yes, I think first impressions matter, but real connections matter more. So that's my thoughts on the first impressions. Sometimes in a very short, limited setting, it does create good. It does important to create good impressions. But sometimes I feel like real connections matter more rather than just trying to shape ourselves to a perfect version of ourselves. Um, do you also feel like it, Masha? Any thoughts on this one?
Yes, I think so. Like, I really think that general impressions are really important because like you can fake those later on, right? Like that is your portraying yourself. So you can really fake. Isn't that right, Ska?
Yeah, I do think so. I think like first impression do matter. And then I think it's better to express ourselves as who we are rather than just crafting the best versions to present. It would be I for me like I feel more comfortable to show up as myself, not trying too hard to look good, but also put like extra bit of effort to create first impressions. Do you also do that, Masha? Do you also like put some of the like extra how do I say, like some of the points to make yourself presentable and more engaging in that moment to get a first impression.
Yeah, I mean, like it would be a lie if I say I don't, right? Maybe like in some important matters or like some important events, kind of like that. I of course have to make myself look presentable, and I try to like put go out of my comfort zone to like get the first impression, because I have already received like many feedbacks about not being good impress not be, like being able to have a good impression. So yeah, of course I do, I have to. So that leads to our next questions. So what makes good impression? So for me, from my experience, I would say the most important thing is your body language. So like saying about body language, there are many body language that we could do. So first of all, the first one is eye contact. So you really need to make an appropriate eye contact. Like you can really like don't stare at the person that you are going to meet, right? Don't stare at like intensely to them, but still you need to look at them at appropriate stance. And another thing is smile. You know, I smile is every day. Like a genuine smile is about like inviting and make it makes you approachable. And another thing is a posture, right? I'm really bad at those things. So I tell you that is really important. So you need to maintain a good postures. Like maybe like you can just stand tall and like with the open stance, and you need to convey that you are confident. So that is what you need to do. Last but most important one, you need to mirror their actions too. Like it's not about just making your body language good, but you also need to respond to their body language too. So this build a good rapport in your first impression. So, what are your suggestions to Carl?
Uh, yeah, I do have a few things that I do to get comfortable whenever I enter like a new setting, like school, workplace, or trying to meet. It's a really good things to do if you're trying to get a good first impressions. And another point that I usually do is I try to dress like nice, to be honest. I try to like I don't just wake up and like go and see the person. I try to have like a bit of time to I take like how do we say like slow mornings or slow morning routine. Actually, that's right. I do try to take some time before I like go in. You know, after like I just don't wake up and join the sessions. I try to take myself some time and try to make things that make me feel good about myself. For example, like trying to take a cup coffee, or I just like trying to put on something nice, something that I like wearing, put it on, so that I will feel great about myself, so that I can have a I, like once I feel good about myself, I will function, or I don't know, in a fun way. Get your way. Once I, that's not. Um, yeah. Once I feel good about myself, I can like active. I can actively engage in the sessions. I can be present, and I don't have to worry about like I don't worry about any other things anymore because I feel good about myself, and I think that's the things that I usually do to get a good first impressions. Uh, what do you think, Mr. Two agrees or any other points you'd like to suggest?
Because I'm kind of like an introvert person, so whenever I try to make interaction with a stranger at first, and I'm not there to approach them first. So that's why maybe I could seem like I was really proud of myself, and I don't want to connect with them, or I don't want to talk to them. So that was my first impression. But like Gaon said, those first impressions like doesn't really matter anymore when those people gets to know you later on. So like later on they know what your real personality is. So even if you don't make a good first impression, it doesn't change the later how can I say later impression of you. Maybe you can get a better impressions because your friends or yeah, your teachers, like they will eventually get to know you. So that's why we can really say that first impression decides the entire impression of your relationship. Yes.
Yeah, Masha, I've been having the same feeling as you. I think growing up, I see motivational speeches and videos saying that first impression is all that matters. And I used to put like onto effort to create good first impressions. I'll prepare like mentally, socially, even emotionally just to show up well. And you know what? I think it often worked, but I had a great time. Meet people and the feelings that I made an impact, but I cannot lie that there are moments I feel rather drained, not because it wasn't genuine, but because it was exhausting trying to maintain that version of myself. The version that show up like engaged and sociable, maybe even a little more polished than I naturally am. And then I sometimes have thoughts like, would it have been better off to just stay lay low? What if the version I created had expectations and now I have to like keep up to them? Because when people see like you in your like best light, they expect the light every moment. And if you're not always on it, you're feeling short. And even when you're just being a human, uh, but I think I've learned to stay balanced, grounded. I also don't want to shrink myself because I don't want to perform either. I want to show up as someone who can grow without pretending to be there. Maybe the best first impression isn't all about being perfect. That's my thought. It's about more about like being real enough that you don't have to like keep putting on armors and performing every time. You know, that's my experience with having like trying to have good first impressions and hear how I feel about it.
I think that like the one that you said is also connected to my last point. So it's about like doing your research ahead and also can prepare, right? Just like how prepare himself for to make a good impression, right? We also can prepare too. So like in any kind of setting, like you know that like unless it's like a sudden meeting, you can all prepare ahead, right? Maybe let's say for your job interview, you can research the company ahead, or maybe you can research like what your job had to do. You can read the job description first, and you can think about, oh, did I do them before, or do I have experience with them? You can research ahead, and you can prepare ahead, like what the interviewers can ask you, and what will your answer be. So that is what you can do about researching. And another thing is I can prepare, right? So let's say in a scholarship interview, right? Like of course they are going to ask you about your applications, like what you feel in the application. So at the time, maybe you can just read your application again, or maybe you can think more about like, oh, why do I want to attend here? Or maybe like, oh, are you can really think like, oh, are they going to be scary? Instead, you can say, oh, if they ask this, I'm going to answer that. Right? So you can just like prepare yourself. Maybe just like how Gong did, like maybe like in a scholarship interview, right? You can prepare ahead, so you can clean yourself down, and you can just like prepare yourself. Maybe you can wear more tidier dress, and you can just prepare your smile to any questions that you're going to be asked, right? So you can just prepare your mind ahead so that you can make a good first impressions.
I mean, Mushroom makes lots of interesting points here. And if you are like listener listening to us anywhere you are right now, feel free to send us your thoughts on how you feel about first impressions. You can always DM us through our Instagrams, or you can just reach out to us through our emails.
And don't forget to subscribe our YouTube channel and our Spotify channel to listen to our bi-weekly podcast session. So we will be looking forward to see you there, guys. Bye.